Welcome to ITProTV, your source for online IT training. Whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned IT pro, we've got courses to meet your needs. CompTIA, Cisco, Linux, Apple, Microsoft, security, cloud, and more. All online, all on demand. Check out our binge-worthy IT training at ITPro.tv.
Hello, and thanks for joining us today for this ITProTV webinar. Have a question? Use the GoToWebinar question box throughout the webinar, and we will answer as many as we can at the end. You will receive a link to the recording of the webinar delivered to your inbox. Now let's get started.
Hello, and welcome to the ITProTV Cybersecurity webinar series live from the ITProTV studios. I'm your moderator for today, Sophie Goodwin, and we're going to talk today about how to hack your way into the cybersecurity field with edutainer Daniel Lowrie and IT enthusiast Zach Hill. Zach is a brand manager for TCM Security and the founder and creator of the very popular YouTube channel IT Career Questions, a channel dedicated to helping people start their careers in IT. Daniel is one of our very own ITProTV edutainers, specializing in cybersecurity topics. He's a red teamer who teaches courses like CompTIA Pen Test Plus and CEH V11 for the platform. We want you to chime in with your questions and comments, whether you're watching on GoToWebinar, LinkedIn, YouTube, or the ITProTV live channel. Just put your questions in the chat. We have two giveaways today, a practical network penetration tester voucher from Zach that you don't want to miss, and some ITProTV swag. All right, Daniel, I'm going to monitor these chats for questions from our viewers, and I'll just let you and Zach take over from here.
Well, that sounds like a great idea. Thanks so much, Sophie, and welcome to my main man, Zach. We're glad to have you today, of course. Zach and I have known each other for quite a while, actually. We've been chewing some of the same dirt, going to the same conferences, having a good time, doing cyber stuff, because that's a lot of fun. So I just wanted to welcome him here. It's always a good, I almost consider him a friend, I would say.
Almost.
So it's good to have you, brother. Thanks for joining us today. And we're going to get to a really cool topic, but I just wanted to check in with you, see how you're doing, let you introduce yourself, and yeah, go for it.
For sure, man. Thanks for having me here. Appreciate it. And yeah, I've been with ITProTV for what, 6-7 years now, since 2017 or so. Working with you guys, excuse me, sorry, using you guys for education. And I thank you guys all the time for helping me pass my Security Plus certification like 3 years ago now. So thank you guys for that. But yeah, so I'm brand manager for a company called TCM Security. We do penetration testing, so companies hire us to hack things, and it's a ton of fun. We also do IT training, and as Sophia said, we're going to be giving away a PNPT certification later on. So I'm really excited about that. So if you guys are interested in ethical hacking, penetration testing, that's something you're definitely going to want to check out. So stay tuned for that.
So I don't, before we get into these questions, real quick, I want to just hit on, you had the chance recently with TCM to do an actual physical penetration test. Peanut butter and jealous, just going to go ahead and say it. So it looked like you had a great time. I want to give you an opportunity just to kind of talk about that. How was that? Was it everything you hoped it could be and then more? Or honestly, was it like, oh yeah, it was a penetration test?
Dude, it was the best experience of my entire life. And I've done, I would consider, like, I've had a pretty good life. I've done a lot of really cool things. That by far was the coolest thing I've ever done. When you see hacking done on TV, right, or especially like people breaking into buildings and things like that, you're like, that's too easy. There's no way it's that easy. I got to experience firsthand. It is literally like as easy as they make it look on TV and the movies. And I was just completely dumbfounded by how easy of an experience it was.
I don't know if that fills me with fear or, the fact that, like you say, it was just dumb easy to get into a building.
It was wild. When Heath Adams, my boss, he was like, hey, come up with a cover for us. We need to get in this building. And immediately I was like, we are going to go in as telecom workers. So I got out on eBay, bought an AT&T shirt for $15, went in Photoshop and photoshopped a AT&T badge, with my big dumb face on it and a fake name. We literally printed that out on a sticker and slapped that sticker on a Starbucks gift card and put it in a badge holder. And when we went to this facility, they literally took our badges from us and scanned them. And, they passed with flying colors. And it was just that alone blew my mind.
Worth the ticket price, huh?
Oh my gosh, yeah. The whole experience is just wild, man.
Well, that is super cool. And you know what? It's things like that. People like yourself telling stories about being able to get to do things like this. TCM, I'm a huge fan of TCM. Heath, I've met Heath before. We've talked online from time to time. When he's doing something really cool, I usually call him out for it. and let people know, hey, check out Heath and TCM. They're doing something really cool. You need to check that out. But
sure, we appreciate that too.
Well, it gets people excited. They see what's going on in cybersecurity, and it makes people go, it really seems like a fulfilling job. And for many people, it can be. It does have its caveats. It's
there's some challenges here and there for sure.
Right. So I don't want to make people believe that it's just all fun and games and unicorns and rainbows and things of that nature. But it can be very fulfilling. Can be a lot of fun. So I would assume we're going to have some really good questions about people that they're interested in it and want to get into it. And that's where we're going to try to focus. When I've got you in the hot seat, I figured, why not? Let's make sure those are the questions that are getting answered, because I don't know about yourself. I get that kind of stuff all the time. I'm here. How can I get started? I'm in IT and I want to move into cybersecurity. How can I do that? I work as a grocery clerk and I want to be a hacker, or I want to be a blue teamer. What do I do? We see that all the time. So let's do our level best I'm sure we're going to get a few of those questions, to answer those questions. And I know you know a lot about that as well. So I figured this was the perfect storm for us to get together and see if we can't help a few folks out today. What say ye?
For sure. I love helping people, man. That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about.
That's been my mission for as long as I've been alive, I feel like, is to help more people. So let's see what we can do.
All right. Well, let's jump to Sophia and see if she has any questions and or comments from the chat.
I do. We've already got several that have come in. So we're going to go to Nick for the first one. Nick asks, how difficult is it to start cybersecurity from a position like help desk? And what are the steps that he might need to take?
All right. Well, Zach, you've worked in workstation support help desk before, right?
Oh, yeah.
What would
many
you
moons
say?
ago, for sure.
Yeah.
Help desk, I think, is by far the best entry point into IT, because you get introduced to so many different technologies and the way they're utilized, and that's extremely important. Not only that, being in help desk for any length in time, you get introduced to how an organization works, from policies and procedures, just to overall like how things function in an organization at the technology level to the customer support level, right? Great place to get started. And going back to, it's a great place to learn as much as you can. So if you have the opportunity in a help desk, definitely try to take advantage of working with your security teams, or working with your peers or people above you, and seeing if there's any projects you can help them with, or acknowledge to them, or express to them your interest in security, and see if there's anything that you can do to help them on the job with those specific security tasks or projects. That's going to be a great way to kind of help you take those next steps, because that's all going to be documented experience that you can put on your resume. And then of course, Daniel, I'm sure you'll chime in and say, utilizing a learning resource like ITProTV. YouTube is a great resource to learn more things. Also, utilize as many learning resources as you can, because you're going to find that somebody explains something, maybe a slightly different than one another, and it might just click for you. So I know I kind of put a lot of things into that answer, but I hope that helps you.
Oh, you absolutely hit on the things that I would have mentioned. Was like, if you're in a help desk position, right, you can think of all the things that you're getting exposed to, and then you got to start thinking like a security person. Take that job and start basically filtering it through the lens of security. That's what I always tried to do. Was where does security touch what I'm doing right now? If I'm changing a password, how easy was that for my end user, and was it too easy? What is the password policy like here? And then, as what you were saying, tell the people that are in those spaces that have control over those technologies, how can I help? How can I be an asset to you as far as security goes? Or maybe not even that, just, hey, can I do anything that's above my pay grade? Will you let me touch any of this stuff, or be a part of it, or shadow, or do anything? Start letting people know. The more people that know that you're interested in it, and really for me, that's how I started in security. Someone took notice that I was interested in security, because I didn't shy away from letting people know I was interested in security. And when they did, they said, hey, let me help you with that. And you correct me if I'm wrong in your experience when it comes to this, Zach. The security community is extremely forward with they love talking about this stuff. They want to take the knowledge they have and give it to other people as much as they possibly can, because it's fun to talk about, and it's fun to see people light up when they're like, oh, that's right, that's so cool, I didn't even think about that. and giving them those perspectives and giving those little pieces that kind of help them move in the direction, get the ball rolling in a way they want it to, so that they can start realizing their cybersecurity career in some real capacity. Because a lot of times it boils down to the fact that they don't know what they don't know, and they don't know where to begin. They don't know what would be useful and beneficial for them to get into that cybersecurity role in any capacity. Remember, cybersecurity kind of covers a very broad spectrum. So there's a lot of ways in which you could find yourself doing cybersecurity. And just because you're on a help desk or on a workstation support doesn't mean that you are not a part of the security team in some capacity. So taking real ownership of that and trying to do everything you can to look for weak spots and contribute to the increased security of your organization, they're going to see that as initiative, and usually that kind of thing gets rewarded, in my experience anyway.
Yeah, no, for sure. And one of the things you keep kind of like brushing on is like the mentality, right? Like when you want to be a cybersecurity professional, there's, a certain mentality that you almost kind of have or build. And that's, questioning everything almost, and questioning how things work and how things are built, and how can you manipulate those things, and how do you make those things do something that they're not supposed to do? Like that's a great way to kind of approach everything as you're learning, just in your learning journey in general, especially if you want to get into security. Take those things that you learn and say, okay, well, if it's supposed to do X, Y, Z, if I do maybe, X, Y, C, D, is that going to change the way that this operates, right? Like just having that kind of mentality is always going to help in cybersecurity for sure.
Zach, we're just going to have to agree on that, because that was good advice right there. All right, I figure we could call that a webinar right there, but I'm pretty sure Sophia's probably got maybe one or two more questions that we could probably go over. Sophia, what you got for us?
Yeah, maybe one or two.
Just one or two.
Dozen, 100. Next week, we do have another question here, kind of along the same lines of getting into cybersecurity. This person asks, what are some good online courses to take for cybersecurity beginners?
Ooh, well, I'm not trying to say, where to go or anything, but I'm just
you come to the right place.
Yeah, I kind of work for a little company we call ITProTV. You might have seen the logo running around somewhere, all over your screen actually. And I teach cybersecurity here for us. So I would put my training up against anybody's, honestly, because I've been we always had kind of like this mantra around ITProTV as far as the edutainers that are here go. It doesn't matter what we teach, we always try to be the instructors that we had wished we'd had, right? Make the training we had wished we had had. So that's my guiding star when it comes to how I make my training, is I'm not just gonna PowerPoint you to death and walk you through a list of, stuff you need to memorize and then regurgitate it on the exam. I want you to actually know how to do the thing we're talking about. So I do my level best to make sure that everything I teach you, if it is possible, I will not only show it to you, but will explain in detail what is going on, why this part is moving, how it connects to that part over there, and why the broken thing happened at the end that allowed us to gain access to something. So we have a lot of blue team and red team type security, both certification and skills-based courses here at ITProTV. TCM Sec also has some great training as well. Zach, I'll let you talk to that.
Yeah, I want to just provide like full transparency in that, we do offer security training, and we're giving away that certification later on that TCM created. But as far as training goes, ITProTV hands down has been one of the best training providers that I've ever had the pleasure of using personally and just working with in general. And you guys are not paying me at all to say any of this. That is just 100% authenticity from me. And I've stated many times across the years that we've been affiliated with one another that you guys are the most entertaining by far. And that is huge when you compare that to a lot of the other training that's out there. It's so enjoyable and it's so easy to consume. And I think that's what makes you guys, that's what made you guys stand out for many years. That's where you guys have done phenomenal work the past few years. And I have to give you guys credit for that, because what you're doing is definitely changing people's lives, and it's affordable. And that's one of the things that I get behind more than anything, is the accessibility and affordability of training. And I know like there's a coupon code out there for you, Daniel. That 30%, saves you a lot of money. It's like what, $30-something a month for your premium training, which offers practice labs and practice tests and things like that. that is extremely affordable when you compare that to something like college, like you're talking thousands of dollars compared to it's less than what, $500 for the year, maybe less than $400 or whatever for the year. And you get access to not only like the video training that's going to, teach you these things, but you actually get to try these things hands-on with the labs, and you actually get to do the practice tests. This is like one big advertisement for you guys. I'm sorry. I don't mean it to be like that, but just the fact that it's that affordable. I didn't have that 20 years ago when I was getting started. Like, I had to pick up books that were, a foot thick just to learn, some of the things that I did. Google wasn't really around to the capacity that it was today. YouTube did not even exist, right?
Yeah, well, YouTube came out in like 07.
Yeah,
right.
So what we have nowadays, you get just people have, I think, an extremely like an endless amount of affordable content that they can consume to further their education. And ITProTV is a phenomenal resource. TCM Security, I would argue, is one of the best resources for security training as well. And then there's so many great content providers out on YouTube who they create free courses as well, or just free training, and just having a multitude of resources to utilize. That's always going to be towards your best advantage in your learning journey, in your IT career.
And I think you hit on a really good point. Is like, it's not just, oh, okay, well, I've got my ITProTV subscription and I'm good. And don't get me wrong, you can learn quite a bit and you do really well, I think anyway, yeah. Biased as that may be. And TCM's got, right, it's these multiple ways. Go to YouTube University, right? Start watching YouTube channels that do cybersecurity content. You're gonna pick up a lot of stuff. Punch above your weight. Start looking at things that are security related that you have no idea and concept around. Guess what? After a bit of time, you will start to understand what is going on, and you will have learned not only concepts, but context that goes around with it. And that's a really good part of learning. So I understand. I try to incorporate that kind of thing. I was listening to you. I was kind of thinking in my mind. I've watched a lot of different cybersecurity training, and some of it is technically amazing. You're just like, that is so awesome. I sure as heck could have explained that a whole lot better though, because that was really hard to watch. So you will run into that in those areas where they are not trainers, they are technical people that are trying to share with you. So we applaud them for that, and it's very, very appreciated. But the people that are the true educators out there that know how to convey that information in a way that makes sense, if you find a handful of those, you're well on your way. All right, I say we go over to...
I just want to show this off real quick, because the first time that I took my Security Plus, I failed it.
And then
failed
Don
my Security Plus. What's that?
I said, and then Don made fun of you.
He probably did, and that's okay. I love Don.
Sorry. Yeah.
And Don, I love Don so much. I miss him. Anyway, I did not use ITProTV that first time, but when I went back and started studying, I took the Accelerated Security Plus course, and it was because of that course that I was able to obtain my Security Plus.
Nice.
Hands down, without a doubt. Like, just the way that everything was described in that course was just like, oh my gosh, that just clicked. And oh, that clicked too. I was like, why didn't I do this the first time? That's not, again, it's not like a shameless plug for you guys. Like, that's legitimately my personal experience that I've had with your platform and learning.
Well, we appreciate it. We're glad to see that you had the success that you were not getting with other training. And that's what we're all about. That's what we want to do, is try to help people be successful, because we understand we always wanted to change people's lives. And see, because I came from construction, right? I worked construction. I was a painter. And then I did a myriad of different jobs before I got into IT. And it wasn't until I really clicked with some good folks like Don, when I met Don, and building that, and then seeing how other people were struggling to get into it, it was like, man, if they'd only had training like this, that would make it easier. So that's what we try to do here. All right, we'll get off our soapbox on that now. Let's head back over to Sophia, see what she's got for us.
Yeah, we got a question. It's getting a little more specific now. This person wants to know, what certification should I focus on to be a successful SOC analyst?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm
it?
gonna let you start with that one.
I mean, for a SOC analyst specifically, I think the CompTIA Security Plus is a great starting point. I mean, that would be hands down, I think, the best option, just to get your feet wet, just to get started in learning some of the different concepts and methodologies that you'll run across in any type of SOC position. I guess my next kind of question would be is like, where do you see yourself after that? And then we can kind of potentially nail down further certifications, but definitely I think Security Plus is a good starting point.
Yeah, I totally agree. Security Plus, it's just that perfect certification that kind of lays those foundations for us. So I always kind of steer people toward, if you're green, wet behind the ears, don't know nothing about nothing, but you like security, that Security Plus is a great way to get started because it doesn't ask too much from you. It gives you a good introduction to all those little things that are going to kind of be out there in the security, cybersecurity field. And once you have that, it's a great platform for jumping. And then I would even say, moving in that SOC analyst idea, the CISO Plus has been a very well-respected and a decent exam, probably the heavyweight champ for quite some time, on moving into that tier one, that entry-level SOC analyst position at SOC level 1. And then recently,
I think ISC Squared, don't they have some type of entry-level cert too?
I never pay attention to ISC Squared. But I'm sure they do.
I think they do.
Yeah, I would be. Adam would know that stuff. Like he's a ISC Square and ISACA stuff. He knows that stuff cold like the back of his hand. But I was going to mention recently it was the Security Blue Team. They have a hands-on SOC analyst one. It's called BTL1, the Blue Team Level 1 certification. Oh, yeah. They have good training as well on that stuff for their certifications, all specific for their certification, but it's great stuff. It's very hands-on. They have labs and stuff as well. Really cool stuff. So once you kind of that would be my chain of events. If I were to sit someone down, they say, I want to be SOC analyst, I would go start Security Plus, move to CISA, and then you have a couple of options. Mine would probably be BTL1 at that point.
Yeah, I mean, between the Security Plus and the CISA, you get introduced to a lot of different things within those. So you can start building an interest based, based off of what you're learning in that material, which that would be the best route I would take then, because then you're going to figure out which areas of security are going to interest you the most. And then you can kind of set a better path after that. And
then don't forget those vendor specific, like Splunk. You can get Splunk certifications. If you had CISA Plus and some Splunk certifications, that's a decent resume right there. That would definitely raise the eyebrow of a few hiring managers and go, I might want to have a conversation with this person about gainful employment at our organization. Sure. So look into those vendor certifications as well, PFSense and anything firewallish, that kind of stuff. All right, Sophia, what you got for us?
We got a question here from Ken. It says, since cloud is prevalent now, besides the three major vendors of AWS, Azure, and GCP, do you recommend any vendor-neutral cloud certifications, and do they include CompTIA, or are there others? Now, real quick, I got permission to mention this. Okay. We just started filming today something that sounds a lot like what you're talking about, Ken. It is a vendor-neutral cloud certification from CompTIA. It's called Cloud Essentials Plus, so that will be out at some point on the, not to plug ITProTV again, but it may be relevant to what you're talking about, but I'm curious what y'all have to say about it.
Well, we try to be relevant to what people are wanting to know and think and see and do. Yeah, I'll be interested. It is fairly new, right? The Cloud Essentials Plus, vendor neutral, that does cut right to the heart of your question, Ken, so hopefully that's helpful. Maybe that's where you would like to start this. My cloud experience is that everybody kind of does cloud. They do the same things, but they do them in different ways. So at least in my experience, I could be completely off on this, you're gonna have to go vendor specific. So AWS is the big dog on the block, so it would probably behoove you to start in an AWS world. If you've kicked around with Microsoft for quite some time, maybe if you've been in a career in IT, you've done some Microsoft, you're familiar with Microsoft, Azure would not be a stretch, and they are growing by the day, doing more and more with their Azure platform. It's getting better and better. I haven't done any with GCP, and then there's the others that are kind of out there, the Linodes and whatnot that just kind of offer some cloud services. I don't necessarily think they have any certifications that go along with it, but just kind of learning that. And then you're also going to want to learn cloud adjacent things like Kubernetes, right? Docker, Git, all this stuff kind of works hand in hand and works a lot together. So if you kind of pair those things together, find those certifications, work with the platform that you like the most, get those certifications, and then get a secondary certification in a different platform. So if you're an AWS person, maybe you go grab a couple of AWS certs to get you going, and then go, well, let me grab an introductory Azure cert as well, so that I can show my well-roundedness. You know, that's going to be the key on that. Zach, are you familiar with any vendor-neutral certifications? You got your ear to the ground on this.
Yeah, outside of CompTIA, not really. You know, CompTIA is kind of the king of the vendor-neutral certs. So that'd be your best route, I guess. And then maybe potentially only route as far as, you know, vendor-neutral. But I think you kind of nailed it on the head, and it's really you should probably be focusing more on one rather than the bunch, because you're not necessarily going to be running across all three in a job that you're going to be working in, right? So the best thing you could maybe do is, if you're dead set on working in an area, you know, an area specific or local to you, is look and see maybe what some of those organizations are utilizing. Are they utilizing the cloud, and which platform are they utilizing? That might be a good indication on, you know, which of these certifications you should go after, whether that's AWS or Azure or, you know, Google Cloud Platform, whatever that is. I don't think anybody uses that, but that's a different story.
Never even heard of it, right?
Yeah, right. But yeah, I think that's kind of your best route as far as cloud certs go, and kind of introducing yourself into those worlds.
It is what it is, as they say. Okay, Sophia, I'm sure you've got more questions for us.
Of course I do.
Let's hear what you got.
I'm a never-ending fountain of questions. This one comes from Caleb. How do you balance studying for knowledge-based certs with practical skills?
Ooh. Zach, you want to take this one?
How do you balance studying for knowledge-based certs and practical skills? I think for me, I always look for any opportunity where I can put something into a lab. So, you know, I know some of the certs, you know, aren't exactly designed to be in that way, like where you can lab them. Thinking of something like maybe like a CISSP or something is not necessarily, there's not a lot on there that you could potentially lab. Although I guess that could be argued, but it's just trying to figure out any potential in the examining the content and seeing, like, is there a way that I can take this and put it into paper, put it into a virtual lab, and simulate something about it that can just make me kind of understand it at a very kind of that practical level, meaning like, this is what I would see in the real world. That's kind of how I like to approach things. I'd like to make sure, like, hey, can I see myself doing this in the real world, learning this in the real world, applying it in the real world, and how does that look? And that's kind of maybe how I would map it out in a more practical way.
Yeah, I try to take those weird intangible things that are really difficult to teach in a class, or if it's going to show up on a certification exam. A lot of certification exams in security are going to touch upon topics such as, you know, administrative paperwork, you know, GRC, things of that nature. It's really difficult to have some sort of tangible, because they're very subjective, right? It's all about the specific organization or environment that you're working in. So it's really difficult to explain how that works out in real life. So what I try to do is I try to hack it, and I go, okay, I need to understand a statement of work. I need to understand a scope. I need to understand these types of policies or do risk. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take something that I can lab, and I'm going to say that's my organization, and now I'm going to apply these things on top of that so that I can, in some capacity, gain hands-on experience with these more abstract ideas that you typically don't have hands-on experience with until you're in the job, and they go, hey, we need you to fill out this statement of work. We need you to fill out this report. We need you to do this, that, and the other type of soft skill thing. And you're like, oh, well, I didn't really cover that in my class. Is someone going to show me? And of course, I will say, I learned this a while ago. It doesn't matter what job you begin. You're new to it when you're new to it. And there is some onboarding time that it's going to take for you to understand all the moving parts and kind of get your workflow down. So if you have landed your first cybersecurity job and you're feeling overwhelmed and like your head is completely underwater, give it a couple of weeks before you really feel like, maybe I've made the wrong decision and I need to take a step back. And you'll probably find yourself going, oh, okay, you're picking it up, right? So I'm always trying to figure out, how can I get those skills? So I'll take CTFs and I'll turn them into pen test reports. And that way I get the time and the effort, and you'll realize that takes time. But now I have experience with it. I know what worked and what didn't work. And I have people take a look at it and go, hey, what do you think of this? Does this look good to you? Would you accept this as a pen test report? would you accept this as an after action report or any of the other things that we do? So when we're looking at those, exams that kind of focus on knowledge bases and not necessarily hands-on skills, that's typically the route I'll go, because for me, it's that context, the actual doing, that really solidifies it in my head. And if I can make that happen, then I'm better off when it comes to an exam. So hopefully that helps you out. Okay, Sophia, I'm sure you're ready to hit us right between the eyes with another question.
Born ready.
Yeah, you can see the pensive look on her face, like
You can tell.
it's gonna happen.
I'm hungry for knowledge.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we have another question from Nick. What kind of advancement can be gained in cybersecurity?
Kind of advancement. All right, Zach, I'll let you hit this one.
Kind of advancement. I mean, it's like your limits are endless almost. I feel like cybersecurity specifically has so many different job roles and titles and different moving parts within just the subset of cybersecurity, and like in general, right? Like, I don't think people grasp that sometimes. So like, when people like, I get this question all the time, and I'm sure Danny will get it too. Hey, I want to work in cybersecurity. What do I do? And it's like, okay, well, you got the buzzword cybersecurity, great, but what is it specifically that you want to do in cybersecurity? What areas within cybersecurity interest you the most, right? There's pen testing, there's threat analysis, there's this, there's that. Like there's so many different titles. You can actually Google. I know there's an article out there because I think I have it favorited. It's like 50 different cybersecurity job titles that all exist. These are all legitimate job titles that exist out in the real world, right? You can go out there and look and take those titles and see, Google the exact job title and see if there's any information out there that kind of lay out exactly what they do, right? Like day in the life of a penetration tester. I'll give you a great idea of what they do on a day-to-day basis. Do any of those things sound interesting to you? If they do, then maybe you can start taking your learning down the route of being a penetration tester, right?
Yeah.
And
for me, it's if you're thinking about upward momentum and not necessarily maybe laterally, obviously, as Zach was kind of pointing out, there's plenty of lateral movement. You could go, well, I've been a pen tester for a while, but now I really feel my passion is in, SOC or, I think that GRC is more my speed. I really enjoyed that, or doing project management even, right? Everything has those types of roles when it comes to cybersecurity. You just got to find out what you like the best and kind of move into that. And then from there, it's, do I see myself as management? Do I want to run a team? So and it's going to be organizationally specific, honestly. So, there are some of the standard acronyms that you'll hear out there, like CSO and CISO, CTOs. You can come from a security background and move into something as specific as like a chief technical officer. That's
sure.
really just up to you and your capabilities and your motivation to do that job. I myself personally, I'm not motivated to be a CTO or a CISO for that matter. That's just not my persona, what's the word I'm looking for? Sophia, help me out here. My personality. It's not my personality. It's just not me.
It's a little outside your wheelhouse.
Yeah, I'm more like an engineer. Like I'm an analyst. I like doing stuff with my hands. I like fiddling with things. Zach, you the same way?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
100%. I'm sorry. I got lost in like a little tirade there and lost with what the question was. But I just want to get back to that real quick because there's just tons of room for advancement when it comes to security. I feel like you have endless possibility. Whether that's like moving just up level 1, level 2 type of positions, to the senior positions, different engineer, architect positions, or as you were mentioning, like more management roles. Like security opens a lot of doors, and again, working in cybersecurity, you get introduced to a lot of different technologies, and you might find that you were working 10 years as a pen tester and you're just like, I don't enjoy this anymore. But, all this cloud stuff that I've been learning along the way, like that's really interesting to me. I think I'm going to pivot down that route. And the great thing about IT is like, you're never siloed into one specific area. You're going to find that it's extremely easy to make transitions once you start getting experience in this field.
Yeah, good stuff right there.
I just wanted to answer that question more thoroughly.
I think you nailed it, my friend. I think you nailed it. All right, so since we nailed that question, let's see what Sophia's got for us. What question comes from the chat?
We got a good question here. I think this is probably a pretty common one for people looking to get into cybersecurity. It says, do we need to learn a coding language like Python to be in the cybersecurity field?
Okay, this is one of my hobby horses. I'm gonna let Zach go first. and see what
one
he
of your
says.
hobby horses.
Yeah.
Do you need to? That's hard to say. I would say honestly, at this point in time, yeah, probably. I mean, Python's being used everywhere, and especially when it comes to security, you're going to find a lot of ways that you can utilize Python to help you along the way. So do you need to learn it? Like, yeah, I think at this point, it's probably safe to say for security, it'd be a good thing to learn.
Yeah, I would say go on Monster, go on Indeed, go on Dice, go on all these lovely job places. Look up the job role you're looking for. Like, this would be my ideal job. If I could be this cybersecurity type of person, I would be super happy with my life. Then look at the job description. I would be very surprised with a lot of those hands-on technical type of roles that you did not see some form of competency with a scripting and or programming language. So kind of like what Zach was going to, I know a lot of people will say, you do not need that. And there are roles where that is exactly true. Here's the thing, all right? Programming and scripting and understanding IT in that way opens up so much more to your understanding on how everything works, because that's the foundations on what you do, right? You open a computer, it has an operating system. Well, how did that get there? Somebody wrote an operating system. If you understand that operating system at a deeper level than the person standing next to you, well, then you are at an advantage than they are, right? You are going to get jobs that they do not have open to them because you understand something they do not. So I think of it, we need to start shifting our mindsets on, especially when it comes to cybersecurity, especially like a lot of people ask me about red teaming, getting into pen testing, ethical hacking, so on and so forth, that more offensive side of the security spectrum. You know, do I have to learn programming? No. It ain't like that. You get to learn programming. Think of it that way. And how much opportunity that's going to open up for you to be better at the job. And if you're the person that went with the attitude of, I get to learn programming and it benefits me, not just on a resume, but when I want to create a tool. And now I got a GitHub repository, or I got a bunch of GitHub repositories. You know, it's just full of tools that I've created showing off my work. That goes on my resume. Now a potential hiring manager gets to go, oh yeah, look at all these tools they've written that do security things. They are obviously passionate about cybersecurity and are continually learning. And there's the proof of it right there. I didn't even need a certification to know that because I just looked them up. It was on their resume, right? So start thinking of it that way of, I get to do that. And once your mind changes on thinking, well, yes, it is a hard thing to learn, but you know, journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. Just start learning it. Take 30 minutes every day and go, I'm going to learn something new on this program. Pick your language. Python is very popular. All right, now I'm learning Go, right? I want to learn more about, I forget the NEAT, right? Or NIT or something like that. I just heard about it like 2 days ago. I'm like, that looks interesting. I want to check that out. Not that I'm going to become a developer. I'm not, you don't have to do that. You don't have to become a full stack dev to do this job. But the more you know about that side of things, the better off. You'll be able to write your own red team implants and malware, do phishing campaigns, spin up software that's not going to get busted by antivirus, or make modifications to software that normally would get busted by antivirus. But now, because you knew how to change it in the proper way, you can make those modifications and now those signatures no longer pop. These are the kind of tools that make you super valuable to, at least on the red team side of things. And of course, if you're on the blue team side of things, I can create a script that helps us filter through logs and does normalization, that when we feed into the seam or come out of the seam, that we're getting information that's more easily digestible, and that makes you valuable if you can do things like that. I can write a script that scrubs through things and does modifications and changes. This is the kind of stuff that you should be getting excited about and not going, oh, do I have to learn that? And of course, that's my personal experience. I just see this a lot, where people are like kind of rejected and dejected when you hear, oh yeah, you should learn that. And, man, that's a lot of work. Yes, it's a lot of work, but it's completely worth it. So I highly recommend it.
I mean, I would argue at the very least to learn the fundamentals, because like for me, I can tell you, I've learned the fundamentals of Python and Java just so that I can kind of understand what I'm looking at when I run across those types of files or scripts, right? Like I'm by no means a programmer. I could no means, write out a Python script from start to finish off the top of my head. I'm not that skilled, but I could look at just about any single Python script and have a good idea of what it's trying to do. And that alone is extremely important, especially when it comes to security, because if you run across a script in the wild, obviously don't try to run it, but there's ways that you can open it and look at, the actual, I'm drawing a blank on such an easy word right now, but the source, there you go, the source. And you can just understand maybe exactly what it's trying to do. And I think that's definitely the most beneficial thing that you can do when learning at least the fundamentals of some of these scripting languages.
I see, you got me, Zach. I click all EXEs that come in my email, and if I find neat scripts out in the wild, I just run them. That's wrong.
You keep
That is
us in
wrong,
business.
by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, don't do that. All right, let's see here. Sophia, what you got for us when it comes to questions?
We've got a question and a comment from Laura. Laura said she liked my earrings, so thank you, Laura. I appreciate that. I'm gonna go ahead and take that confidence boost for the day.
As you should.
And she also asked, what are your top interview tips? What do most interviewers ask?
Oh, good question. Yeah. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Right? Zach, this is something that's near and dear to your heart, right? What do you got for us on this?
Yeah, I mean, like for me, it always goes to the soft skills, I guess, when I think about interviews, because I guess me being on the other side of things, like actually interviewing people and hiring them, I always look for people with soft skills, right? So a lot of times that, you're being hired for a cultural fit more so than the technical skills that you have. So, I guess I don't have anything specific towards what do most interviewers ask? It's really going to depend on like the specific environment, right? So it's hard to say because so many jobs will hire based off a cultural fit, and you're going to experience a completely different set of questions than you would experience somewhere who's looking more for those technical skills, right? So yeah, I'd love getting the interview types of questions, but I need like more detailed, I guess, to really kind of break those down, because I think there's so much to digest when it comes to an interview. And literally just yesterday, my friend texted me and she was asking me for advice in an interview. And I took 5 minutes to look this company up for her. And I said, based on what I learned just from looking on their LinkedIn, looking on their website, learning about their culture and what they do, they are hiring based on a cultural fit. Like they already saw that you have some of the skills, but I can tell you when you go into this interview, they're going to hire you based on that fit. Are you going to work well within their culture of people? And she just texted me 10 minutes before we started and said, they're definitely hiring based off of a cultural fit. That was like shined through their, through everything. That's what it was all about. So I hope that kind of helps a little bit. I know it doesn't answer your question specifically, but man, like you can go out on the Google and look up like the most frequently asked questions. You're gonna get some of those for sure, especially when it comes to the soft skills. But if it's more of the technical question, look at the job description that you applied for. Within that job description, it's going to list all the different technologies and things that they're looking for or that they utilize. You're more than likely going to get asked technical questions that relate to some of those things that you've seen on the job description. So I hope that answers the question fully. I'm sorry.
No, I think you actually pushed this question in the right direction, which is you can't say what they're going to ask, right? You say common questions. I mean, how often do you interview for a new job? I mean, if you're out of work right now and you are interviewing, and you're going to be in a better position than most of us that already have work, right? Because we're not standing in front of a hiring manager hoping and praying that this is the one where we finally land. But I will say, I think you're dead on when it comes to, I also have seen a big trend push toward cultural fit. I was actually talking with a couple of the good folks over at NetSpy, and I asked them these types of questions. I'm like, what are you looking for in a pen tester? Like, what is it skill-wise that would be, if I could craft the perfect pen tester entry level in a lab, they would look like this. And they looked me dead in the eye and said, we're not really, the technical skills are nice, right? It's great. But honestly, we can train someone to be the best pen tester that we need them to be. We're really looking for someone that fits and is the right person for the job, right? That can speak to customers, that is articulate, well-spoken, has the ability to convey ideas, make customers feel comfortable, right? If you have those skills, we'll give you a job today, right? I'm like, well, that's really interesting. That they're not even so much worried. They're just looking for that right fit for the job. That if you can do those things that really is either unteachable or very difficult to teach, or takes a long time for someone to get into that mindset, then we'll teach you the technical part of the thing. If you're interested in this and you're passionate and you show that right mentality for the way we do business, then we'd love to have you aboard. So that is a great idea. Like you said, research the companies that you're interested in that are hiring, see what it is, how they work, how they do business, start doing some cyber stalking around their LinkedIn profiles, anybody that's maybe some Instagram and things of that nature. See what the people are like there, and are you that kind of person? If you are, you should probably walk into that pretty confident, thinking, I really fit in with, these are my people, right? I really fit in with this group. It should be great. I feel like if they hire me, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to do a lot of great things, and I'm going to enjoy my work. Because if you're just, I get it. Sometimes you just need a job. You got to pay the bills. You got mouths to feed, and doing what you can to get that is great. But if you can make that happen and find those, you're most likely to be more successful if you have done your due diligence and your research on those companies that you're looking to hire into. And they'll probably go, wow, you are just a great fit here. We'd love to have you come on board. So that's the kind of thing. Just be yourself and kind of have a good personality and convey that to the hiring manager. That's the most important thing. All right. So
I just want to give can you just give one pro tip?
Please
because this is like the best bit of advice that I give to people during an interview.
Wear pants.
Yeah, so that too, especially during a Zoom interview these days, legitimately.
Yeah, you never know when you got to stand up, and all of a sudden,
yeah, legit.
The secret is out.
That's a real thing, guys.
Yeah.
No, but for real, now you just made me lose my train of thought. Thanks a lot, Daniel.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. You got a pro tip? No pro tip?
Oh, pro tip. That's right. Pro tip. Never lie in interviews. They ask you a question
amen.
And you don't know the answer. Please, for the love of everything, do not lie. And this is the pro tip right here. I'm sorry I don't know the answer to your question, but this is what I would do to find the answer to that question.
Right.
These are the things and resources that I utilize to take, and learn more about these specific things that I don't know about. Or, hey, I would ask my peers how to do these things. That is the best bit of advice that I can give, because it shows that you have the potential to figure something out when you don't know the answer. And that is going to be much more valuable sometimes than even knowing the correct answer. It's articulating that thought process that, okay, I don't know how to do it, but I know exactly where I need to go to figure it out.
Yeah,
I always like to get you hired, hands down.
I always like to say, I don't know yet. Right? I'm gonna find out for you, right? That's a great answer. I've actually known a guy, got some pretty high level jobs. He straight up looked him dead in the eye and said, I do not know how to do this, but I can figure it out. And his confidence and his bravado actually impressed him. I think he went to work for F5 and running their load balancers, and he had never done it before. And they were just so impressed with him that they said, yeah, we feel like you can actually do this because you said you could, and you were confident in that statement. So come on board. And he worked at that job for quite some time, and he was one of the smartest people I ever met in my life. So confidence and being able to, exactly what Zach said, do not lie. Just let them know. Just because I don't know the answer doesn't mean I can't find out and that I wouldn't. I am competent at this line of work. And anything new that I haven't heard of yet is but a learning situation away of me having that under my belt. So there's that.
Just
good
ask
tip.
Jeeves, you got it, right?
That's right. Ask Jeeves. Alta Vista. Go there.
Do you mind if I offer a few words?
If you would.
I'm no cybersecurity expert, but as far as interviewing goes, since that's what the question was about, like you said, it's, obviously don't lie in an interview, don't do that. But also, if you're able to find a company that you mesh well with and a job that you really, really enjoy, I think you'll tend to perform better too. So, sometimes you just need a job, you just need to feed your family, whatever, so that's important, but I think that you'll tend to perform better. And when you're in an interview, they're interviewing you, but you're also kind of interviewing them because you want to make sure it's a place that you're gonna do well and you're gonna like working there.
That's exactly right.
But anyway, that's enough from me. I'm no expert, but it's just my 2 cents. We do
Good.
have
That was great advice.
Thank
I
you.
liked it.
Thank you. A valuable 2 cents.
Yes. Judges, we get the thumbs up. We'll allow it.
We'll check the chat later for the criticisms. We have a question from Jason about getting back into IT. He says, is it too late to get back into IT at the age of 42 after getting an IT degree years ago, but I never used it?
Ooh, no, the answer is no. It's not too late. Right, Zach?
It's never too late, man.
Never too late.
One of the very first IT jobs that I worked for a school district, I was replacing a guy who was 65 years old. He just started working in IT 5 years prior to that. He was a retired ComEd worker, and he was bored. And he's just like, I really like technology. I'm going to go find a tech job. And that's what he did at 60 years old. So you are never too old. And I think like the oldest person that we had go through our platform on TCM, Heath likes to talk about it all the time. I think he was like 72 years old.
That's insane. That's
went
awesome.
through our practical ethical hacking course. So yeah, you're never too old to learn, and you're never too old to get into this field by any means. And sometimes like the older you are, you can sometimes have an advantage, honestly, because you have years of experience to show for yourself. And that's valuable. That goes back to culture and things like that.
Yeah.
It makes a huge difference.
Heck, I would love to have somebody, like you said, years of experience, and not only that, but the wisdom you've gained throughout your years to go, I've got a perspective you probably don't have because of your youth. So bringing those things together is never a bad idea. So if you think, oh man, maybe I've missed the boat on this, 42, you nowhere near missed the boat on getting into cybersecurity. So if you're passionate about it, you'll probably be surprised at how much hasn't changed from the last time you took an IT course. So that's good, right? There are technologies that are just tried and true, and they continue to hang around. And now we just know more about them and how to utilize them in different ways. You can take that knowledge and springboard right in. I would be surprised if it didn't take you very long at all to ramp right back up into the mainstream of what's going in IT and even in cybersecurity. So if you're passionate about it, ain't nothing between you but air and opportunity, as my dad used to say. So why don't you go ahead and jump, make it happen.
And they have a degree, right?
Yeah, you're right. They said, Sophia, they said they had a degree?
Yes, he said he got an IT degree, but he just never used it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the checkbox right there. Like you nailed it like that. Right off the bat, like you're qualified, good to go.
Yeah,
like,
you're done.
That's like an honest truth.
See you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Job starts at 8.
Yeah, right. It's not that easy, but you hit a checkbox for sure. Definitely. And that's like a huge asset in your favor. Yeah. Good luck to you.
Absolutely. And anything we can do, obviously, reach out to us and we'll see, answer questions and whatnot. All right, Sophia, what else we got?
We've got a question that says, what is the security tool that you're the most excited to use? I'm learning some of the tools included with Kali. Which do we need to spend more time using and learning?
That's an interesting question. Okay, so it's kind of a two-parter, right? You have what
Yes.
tool am I most excited to use, and what tool should I spend time learning? So, Zach, what's your favorite thing that you spin up and just like, oh, every time I put my hands on the keyboard to this thing, I just get the shivers down my spine and goosebumps, and I'm happy with my life?
So within, I would say, probably the last month and a half, I've been extremely interested in like web app pen testing. So like Burp Suite has been something that I've been trying to learn more about and utilize. So that's where I've been going lately. And I have 4 kids, so I don't have all the time in the world. So I would say in the last like month and a half, I've probably spent a total of 4 hours with it. So not enough by any means, but that's right now like what I'm most excited to use because I see the potential there.
And what would you say would be the tool that if you got one tool, it's this. This is if you don't know this, you're just out of the game. I don't know what you're doing here.
Within like Metasploit and things like that. I mean, that's a big one, right?
Well, honestly, it made me think that's a really good point. Is if you're talking about red team security, something like Metasploit or Cobalt Strike or things of that nature are going to be a little more useful to you in that sphere. Not going to really use a lot of Cobalt Strike or Metasploit if you are defending. Not that you don't, just it's not the thing. Like Splunk might be a little more your speed if you're doing a defensive type of role. So it's really going to, I would say if you're down the blue team road, some type of SIEM system, get your hands on it. Start learning. You can play with Splunk. You can play with Alien Vault has their free version, which is like OSSIM or something like that. Download those things, stick them in a virtual appliance, and just start seeing how that works. Get your hands on, because if you understand that and you see how that stuff works and you have some experience with it, that goes a long way in that job role. So that would be my biggest on blue team side of things. Metasploit is a very well used. Burp Suite is definitely another one where these are kind of standards in our industry. I I would say probably Burp Suite. Right? Burp Suite is a gold standard tool that everybody that does this job, I'm saying that almost invariably.
It's like a loaded question though too,
Yeah.
because it's so hard to say, but it's so based on your interest of what you're looking to do specifically. It's really going to be dependent on which tools are going to be the most beneficial for you to learn.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Security is just one of those weird areas where there's so much tied to it that it's like you have to get sometimes really specific in knowing like what it is that you want to do to understand like these are the steps I need to take to learn those things, I guess. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. Obviously the answer here is it depends. So there's that. I think we have come to the exciting conclusion. We're out of time, unfortunately. Zach and I know would stand here all day and answer these questions. So, but it is what it is, right? We gotta call it a day. So, Zach, that said, we know you got a special little gift for our viewers today. You got that PNPT voucher giveaway. But first, I want to go over to Sophie because she's got something to give away as well. Sophie, what do you got?
Yes, I do have something to give away. I've got some ITProTV swag. So we will give that away in just a moment. But first, I want to let everybody know that if you're part of an IT team, you're going to want to check out the ITPro.tv business page. That's going to offer you a tour of the Pro portal used to maximize your team's investment in training. And if you sign up for a personal membership, Daniel, generous man that he is going to give you 30% off if you enter the promo code Daniel30. So there's that. Definitely take a look at that if you were interested in that. And now for the winner of the t-shirt. The winner is Laura. Congratulations, Laura.
Hey, way to go. Nice job, Laura. Okay, Zach, now that Laura has her, it's either shirt or something else, right? We have a
swag.
few different
It's
options.
swag. Yeah.
Choose your poison, Laura. Good for you. We applaud you for hanging out with us, and hey, way to go on winning something cool. But Zach, tell us a little bit about this PNPT certification.
Yeah, sure. The Practical Network Penetration Tester certification is probably one of the most unique certifications on the market right now, where it's more focused on learning the practical skills, methodologies, and tools that real penetration testers use on a day-to-day basis. So there's other certifications out there that talk about, ethical hacking, penetration testing. They're all very much multiple choice or, CTF based. With the PNPT certification, you are actually hacking into an environment and you have 5 days to go through this exam, hack into our environment. Then you have 2 days to go ahead and write a report and present that report to one of our employees. And it's supposed to mimic as much as it can a real world experience, because when you're a penetration tester, you want to have the knowledge of what people are actually doing to break into networks. So we teach you that, and then we test you on that as well. So I hope whoever wins this PNPT takes advantage of it. It's a phenomenal certification and getting you those practical skills that you need to become successful in the security field.
Oh man, can I win this? That would be awesome. That would be a lot of fun. Because this is definitely one of the coolest stinking certifications out there for the cybersecurity red team side of things. So I'm really excited about this. Sophie, who do you think should win this?
In my non-expert opinion, I think Israel from the ITProTV chat should be the winner. Congratulations.
Yay, go Israel. Nice, congratulations. And thank you, Zach, for joining us today. Man, we really hope to see you again real soon on our next cybersecurity show. But until then, we hope to see you there as well. Everyone, have a great day.
Thank you for joining us today. You will receive a link to the recording of the webinar delivered to your inbox. See you back here for the next ITProTV webinar.